Have you ever felt completely and utterly stuck? I'm talking about that feeling you get when you're staring at a problem that just won't go away. Maybe it's a recurring issue at work, a process that's always breaking down. Maybe it's a personal habit you can't seem to kick, or a big decision that has you paralyzed. You feel like you're spinning your wheels, just reacting to the world instead of proactively shaping it. Have you ever solved a problem, celebrated your victory, only to have it pop right back up again a few weeks later, like a stubborn weed you didn't pull out by the root? Or have you ever found yourself in a meeting brainstorming ideas and all you can hear are crickets because everyone is just recycling the same old tired solutions? It's a frustrating place to be. It feels like your mind is a powerful engine, but you're stuck in neutral. In our first 2 episodes from our theme this week, Critical Thinking, we laid the foundation. We defined critical thinking and built our mental fortress by learning to spot flawed arguments. We've been on the defensive. Today, we switch to offense. Today, we build our workshop. What good is knowing what a bad argument is if we don't have the tools to build a good one? What good is spotting a problem if we don't know how to solve it from the ground up? Well, my friends, this episode is all about practice, not just theory. This is where the rubber meets the road. We are opening up the Critical Thinking Toolkit, and I'm going to give you 5 powerful, practical mental models. Now think of them like a Swiss Army knife for your brain that you can start using today. These are tools to find the true source of a problem, to generate radical new ideas, to spark your own creativity, and to make better, smarter decisions. So grab your mental hard hat and let's get to work. I'm Danny, and this is a new episode from English Plus Podcast. Alright, let's start with our very first tool, the 5 whys. The root cause detective. Our first tool is brilliantly simple, yet profoundly powerful. It's called the 5 whys, and it was developed by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota, as a cornerstone of their revolutionary manufacturing process. Its entire purpose is to get you past the obvious surface-level symptoms of a problem and down to the hidden root cause. Now think about it like this. If you go to a doctor with a bad cough, a lazy doctor might just give you a cough drop. They've treated the symptom, the cough. But a good doctor, a critical thinking doctor, knows the cough is just the symptom. They'll start asking questions to figure out if the cough is caused by a cold, an allergy, a lung infection, or something else entirely. They're looking for the root cause because they know that if you only treat the symptom, the problem will just keep coming back. The 5 whys turns you into that good doctor for any problem in your life. The method itself is as simple as it sounds. You state a problem and then you ask why. 5 times, like a relentless toddler. Each answer becomes the basis for the next why question. Now let's walk through a classic famous example. The case of the deteriorating Washington Monument. The problem was that the stone on the monument was crumbling prematurely. The initial surface-level solution was to find better, less corrosive cleaning chemicals. But a manager decided to apply the 5 whys. So back to the main problem, the stone on the monument is deteriorating. The first why is it deteriorating? Because we are cleaning it frequently with harsh chemicals. The second why are we using harsh chemicals? Well, to clean up a large number of bird droppings. Okay, interesting. The problem isn't the chemicals, it's the droppings. Then the third why are there so many bird droppings? Well, because there is a large population of sparrows that nest around the monument. Then the fourth why are there so many sparrows? Well, because they have an abundant food source, spiders. Whoa, now we're talking about spiders. And the fifth why are there so many spiders? Because the spiders are drawn to the monument at dusk, when the lights are turned on, which attracts the insects they feed on. Eureka! The root cause of the deteriorating stone wasn't the cleaning method at all. It was the timing of the lights. The solution they implemented was brilliantly simple. They just delayed turning on the lights by about an hour. The insects weren't attracted, the spiders didn't come, the sparrows went elsewhere, the droppings problem was drastically reduced, and they no longer needed to clean the monument with harsh chemicals. They solved the problem at its root, saving time, money, and the monument itself. Well, this works for personal problems too. Let's try it. Now, let's say the problem here, I'm constantly late for my morning meetings. Well, here I'm just going to ask why 5 times. So the first why? Because I always leave the house 10 minutes later than I should. Why? Because getting ready takes longer than I expect, usually because I hit the snooze button a few times. Why? Because I feel exhausted when my alarm goes off. Why? Because I'm not getting enough sleep. I usually go to bed way too late. Why? Because after a long day of work and family obligations, the only time I have to myself is between 10 p.m. and midnight, and I spend it scrolling on my phone to decompress. So you see, the root cause of being late isn't your alarm clock or the traffic. It's that you haven't built a healthy decompression ritual into your evening, which forces you to sacrifice sleep for personal time. The real solution might be blocking out 30 minutes of do not disturb time right after dinner, so you don't feel the need to do it at midnight. The 5 whys stops you from just putting a band-aid on the symptom and forces you to perform the necessary surgery on the cause. And my friends, that was the first tool that you can use for literally anything in your life, whether it's personal life or professional life. But that's just the first tool, and I promised you 5 tools, right? The next tool we're going to talk about is the first principles thinking, the deconstruction method. That's coming next. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Our next tool is the one you pull out when you don't just want to solve a problem, but obliterate it and build something new and better in its place. Now, this is the mental model for radical innovation, and it's called first principles thinking. Now, most of us, most of the time, reason by analogy. This means we do things because that's how they've always been done, or because that's how other people are doing them. We see a competitor launch a new product, so we launch a similar product. We follow a recipe because that's what the recipe says. We're building on existing ideas, making incremental changes. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, it's efficient, but it will never lead to a major breakthrough. First principles thinking is the opposite. It's the practice of breaking a problem down into its most fundamental, essential truths. The things you know are true beyond a shadow of a doubt, and then reasoning up from there. You throw out the instruction manual and start from scratch. Now, the most famous modern proponent of this is Elon Musk, who used it to build both Tesla and SpaceX. Now, let's use his battery example. When he wanted to build electric cars, the big problem was the cost of batteries. The market price was about $600 per kilowatt hour. Reasoning by analogy would say, okay, batteries cost $600, so we need to find a way to make our cars profitable at that price or wait for the price to come down. But Musk used first principles. He asked, what is a battery at its most fundamental level? Well, it's made of certain raw chemicals. It's got cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon, some polymers, and a case. So he asked the next question. What is the spot market price for each of those raw materials? When he did the math, he discovered that if he just bought the raw materials on the London Metal Exchange and assembled the batteries himself, the cost wasn't $600, it was less than $80 per kilowatt hour. That realization changed everything. The problem wasn't that batteries were inherently expensive. It was that everyone was just reasoning by analogy from the existing price. By breaking the problem down to its physical first principles, he saw a path to building an electric car company that everyone else thought was impossible. So how can we use this? You don't have to be building rockets. Apply it to a common goal. Well, let's say the goal that I want to start my own business, but I don't have enough money for an office and inventory. Now let's start with reasoning by analogy. To have a business, I need a storefront. I need to buy products. I need to hire staff. That costs a lot of money. And now let's start with first principles thinking. What is a business at its most fundamental level? It's the act of providing a good or service to someone in exchange for money. But what is the absolute bare minimum I need to do that? I need a way to create the service, which is my skills, my time. I need a way to let people know it exists, like a simple website or social media account, and I need a way to accept payment. And here we're talking about an online payment processor. I don't need an office, I don't need inventory, I can start by offering a service from my home and build from there. Now, of course, this is a lot simplified than it really is, but sometimes it's just that simple. We just don't want to believe that it is that simple. My friends, first principles thinking frees you from the tyranny of the way it's always been done and gives you permission to build a new and better way. And that was our second tool for today. And next, we're going to talk about our third tool, the Scamper tool, or SCAMPER, the Creativity Catalyst. That's coming next. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. What if your goal isn't to solve a complex problem or invent something new, but simply to improve an existing idea or break out of a creative rut? For that, we have our third tool, Scamper, which is an acronym, of course. Now, Scamper is essentially a structured brainstorming technique. It's a checklist of 7 different ways to think about an existing product, service, or idea to spark new innovations. It's like giving a creative chef 7 techniques to apply to a simple ingredient. You have a potato. What can you do with it? You can boil it, fry it, bake it, mash it, etc. Scamper is that list of techniques for your brain. Now let's break down the acronym. Remember, it's Scamper, SCAMPER. So let's start with S. Now S for substitute. What parts of the product, process, or idea can you swap for something else? A classic example is a fast food chain substituting beef patties with chicken or fish to create new menu items. So that is the S, substitute. Now, C is for combine. What can you merge with another idea or product? The most powerful example in our lifetime is the smartphone, which combined a phone, a camera, a music player, a GPS, and an internet browser into one device. And next we have A, which is for adapt. What other idea or concept can you adapt for your own use? Think of a car designer adapting the principles of aerodynamics from a bird's wing to make a car more fuel efficient. And then we have the M, which is for modify, magnify, or minify. Now, how can you change the scale, shape, or attributes of your idea? A regular hotel room can be magnified into a luxury suite. A desktop computer can be minified into a laptop, and so on. So, that's SCAM. We still have PER, right? Next, we have the P, which is for put to another use. Can you use your existing product or idea for a completely different purpose? A fantastic example is baking soda. For decades, it was just for baking until someone realized it could be put to another use as a powerful cleaning agent and deodorizer. So that's the P, put to another use. And E is for eliminate. What can you simplify, reduce, or remove entirely? The entire business model of IKEA is built on this. They eliminated the cost of assembly from their furniture, passing the savings and the work onto the customer. So that's the E. And finally, we got the R is for reverse or rearrange. What happens if you change the order of the process or do the opposite? The try before you buy model for software reverses the traditional sales process. You get the product first and pay later. So there you have it, my friends. That's a Scamper. Let me remind you again. S is for substitute, C, combine, A, adapt, M, modify, magnify, or minify. P, put to another use. E, eliminate. And R is for reverse or rearrange. Now try it right now with a simple object in front of you. Maybe a coffee mug. What if you substituted the ceramic for a self-heating metal? What if you combined it with a wireless phone charger in the base? What if you modified it to be square instead of round? What if you eliminated the handle? Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you'll always come up with great ideas, but you will come up with ideas. It's a great tool for brainstorming. My friend, Scamper is a powerful and fun way to force your brain out of its usual patterns and see new possibilities everywhere. And that was our third tool for today. Our fourth tool for today is the pre-mortem, the failure forecaster. That's coming next. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Our fourth tool is an absolute game changer for making important decisions and planning projects. We're all familiar with a post-mortem, the meeting you have after a project fails to figure out what went wrong. A pre-mortem is the ingenious opposite. It's a meeting you have before a project even starts, and its purpose is to figure out why it will fail. Now, it sounds pessimistic, I know, but it's actually a form of optimistic planning. It's designed to overcome the dangerous optimism bias and groupthink that often doom projects from the start. Now, here's how it works. You gather your team, or you can just do this yourself. You lay out the plan for your new project or decision. Let's say we are going to launch a new podcast series. Then you say this: okay, everyone, I want you to look into this imaginary crystal ball. It will show you the future 1 year from today. And the vision is clear. The new podcast launch was a total, unmitigated disaster. It failed completely. Then you give everyone 5 or 10 minutes to independently and silently write down every single reason they can think of for why it failed. And here, be specific. They can come up with things like, we ran out of topics after 3 episodes, or our marketing was non-existent, or the audio quality was terrible, or the host sounded bored. Now, after the time is up, you go around the room and have each person share one reason from their list, until all the reasons have been collected and written on a whiteboard. This list of potential disasters is now your roadmap for success. It gives you a checklist of risks to mitigate and problems to solve before they even happen. Now, why is this so effective? Well, because it's psychologically safe. If you ask people in a regular meeting what could go wrong with this plan, they might be hesitant to speak up. They don't want to sound negative or not to be a team player. But in a pre-mortem, the failure is a given. The job is to be critical and poke holes. It harnesses the power of prospective hindsight and turns our natural ability to criticize into a constructive and collaborative tool. And that was our fourth tool for today. As I promised you, 5 tools we're going to talk about, and the next one is the SIFT method, the news navigator. That's coming next. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Now, our final tool is a simple 4-step framework for the digital age. In a world of misinformation, we need a quick and reliable way to evaluate the information we consume online. And for that, we have the SIFT method, or SIFT method, developed by digital literacy expert Mike Caulfield. Now let's start with S. S is for stop. This is the most important step. When you see a post or a headline that elicits a strong emotional reaction, like anger, shock, fear, even glee, just stop. Pause for a second. Emotional reactions are the enemy of critical thinking. Don't share, don't comment, don't even believe it yet. Just stop. And that takes us to the I. I is for investigate the source. Who is this person or organization telling you this? Do a quick search on them. Is it a well-known news organization with a history of journalistic standards? Or is it a blog you've never heard of, or an organization with a clear political or commercial agenda? Knowing who is speaking is half the battle. And then we got F. And F is for find better coverage. Well, this is the game changer. Don't stay on the page, open a new tab and search for the story or claim yourself. See what other different sources are saying. Do reputable news organizations report the same facts? Or are they silent or even debunking it? This is called lateral reading, and it's the fastest way to get context and verify a story. And finally, we get to the T in our SIFT, and this is for trace claims to the original context. Now, if a post quotes a politician, find the full video of the speech to see if the quote was taken out of context. If an article mentions a new study, find the actual scientific study and read its abstract. Far too often, information gets twisted and it's passed from one source to another. So, go back to the original. It's very simple, the SIFT method. Stop, investigate, find, and trace. This whole process can take as little as 60 seconds, and it is, honestly, your single best defense against being fooled by misinformation online. And there you have it, my friends. 5 practical tools for your critical thinking toolkit. The 5 whys to dig down to the root cause of any problem. First principles thinking to break free from old assumptions and innovate. Scamper to ignite your creativity and improve any idea. The pre-mortem to make smarter, more resilient decisions. And the SIFT method to navigate our chaotic information world with confidence. My challenge to you this week is this. Don't just remember these tools, choose one, just one, and actively look for an opportunity to use it. Try the 5 whys on a nagging frustration in your life. Try SIFT on the next shocking headline that crosses your feed. The only way these tools become sharp is through use. So we've now built our workshop. We have a set of powerful, logical tools to deconstruct problems and build better solutions. But what happens when the problem isn't the tool, but the person using it? What if your own mind, your own brain's fundamental wiring is secretly working against you? What if you are hardwired with hidden biases that can hijack your logic, bend your perception of reality, and lead you to make irrational decisions, even when you're trying your best to be logical? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do next time. Next time, we're turning the magnifying glass inward. We're going on an expedition to confront the enemy within, the fascinating, frustrating, and universal world of cognitive biases. Now, I know we talked about them earlier, we even dedicated a whole week for cognitive biases, but they're very important. They're actually that important to talk about over and over, and we're talking about them in the context of critical thinking this week, right? In the next episode, we learn why even the smartest people on Earth believe strange things and how to spot the invisible puppet masters pulling the strings in your own mind. Trust me, my friends, it's going to be a wild ride. You won't want to miss it. And that was everything for today's episode. Thank you very much for listening to the entire episode. If you want to support me, if you want to support English Plus, you can do that by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or on Patreon. You can find the link in the description of the episode. I'm Danny, and that was a new episode from English Plus Podcast. And remember, never stop learning. I'll see you again next time.